Hello guys, welcome back. So we are here again doing another stream, and I want to talk to you today. We're going to be focusing on how to invest during a recession. It's kind of the thing that's on everybody's lips. Everyone's talking about a recession. Nobody's quite sure. Everyone's worried. And we're seeing the investment behaviors change, and that's also kind of affecting crypto. So I want to understand exactly why and pass that on to you. But we're also going to bring you a nice bit of where are the immediate opportunities. So we're going to be identifying those key levels today with AJ once again.
Yeah.
How are you doing, AJ? You doing all right
Good.
today?
Yeah, doing good. It's nice that we're seeing, a little bit of a reversal. I think, it's been needed. This reversal has been, and what I'm sort of seeing in the charts as of right now is some consolidation, which is going to bring us great opportunities to sort of trade off, because it signals that a sort of a bigger move is on its way.
Yeah, and do you know what? And also, I think on this note, what we're seeing is we could have a very beneficial scenario for Bitcoin if the recession does come in. And I'll tell you why. So I'm going to bring up my screen here. So let's have a look. What can we see? This is just the number one question. I've gone to Motley Fool, very, very popular in terms of giving out, their, should we call them their calls? Not necessarily signals, but they are a very popular kind of TradFi website. What to invest in during a recession. So they don't actually give you specific stocks. But this is something that I think is very true and everybody should take note of, have plenty of emergency savings. Guys, don't YOLO everything into, yield farming or into Dogecoin or, anything that could be potentially dangerous in any way. So also make sure that if you can have two different portfolios. I recommend one for trading if it's a little bit more liquid. So this will be, if you kind of need the money, you'll be able to take that out. But then have one that you kind of just leave for forever, I would say. And that's where you're going to have Bitcoin and more kind of those longer term assets that you believe in fundamentally. And then also make sure to just not consistently check your portfolio, because that's just going to be bad for you. And obviously during a recession, the markets usually come down a little bit, and we're, just that the same as a crypto winter, you shouldn't be checking your portfolio every day, because that's just going to affect your your mindset in a bad way, and you probably panic sell.
Yeah, and this is going to be the first recession. Well, when if it's confirmed, this is going to be the first recession that Bitcoin is actually going to go through. So, this is going to be new for Bitcoin. So we need to see how Bitcoin is going to react to this.
Exactly, and so I do have a thought as to why this might go up, AJ, and I'll kind of cover that in a second. But other three, should we say, golden rules that they say is don't try to time the bottom. So we always say DCA. Yeah. This just prevents you needing to try and time the bottom and then getting annoyed when you don't, because I can almost guarantee it. You will not time the absolute bottom. Don't try to day trade. I mean, that's obviously if you are going for this longer term strategy, but then also don't just sell because your assets went down. Now, what I see is usually in the markets, when there's a recession, people move kind of towards value stocks and away from the risky assets. Hence why we've seen a massive sell-off in crypto. Bitcoin obviously is down. I'm looking here at the price to earnings ratio of Tesla. This actually was when it was relatively low. I think it was like around 1,000x at one point. So the price was 1,000 times the earnings. Obviously, it's begun to keep coming down, and each company has one of these. But basically, when you're in those scenarios where tech stocks are so expensive, people then move towards these traditional. Let's look at AT&T, for example, which the ticker is just T. So AT&T, they are a telephone company, and they also do I don't know exactly what they do, to be fair. But they're they do telephone, and they have a load of other stuff. But if we have a look at the financial analysis, so their price to earning ratio is relatively modest. We're looking at, where are we? Price to earnings 8.5. So 8.5, which is actually, that's relatively good. Then if you look at someone like Amazon, for example, Amazon, that's relatively high. Now, the key thing that I want to kind of point out here is people usually go to these value assets. Now, they're going more towards these riskier assets. So, someone like Netflix, for example, this is where now I think it's going to be slightly different because we've had such a massive dump in tech. People will weigh up. Well, it's 8.5 for AT&T, which is a traditional value asset. Let's have a look at Netflix. It's only 16.2. Now, usually these are like 30, 40. I mean, Amazon was 50. So there's still massive room to grow on the upside in terms of the PE ratio of Netflix. So I think more people will be moving into these tech stocks, instead of these value stocks. So usually, like I said, a recession happens, people move to value stocks. They also go to dividend paying stocks. And so, looking through this, these are the traditional ones. But also, in the same note, looking at all of these companies, so these tempting tech stocks, we're having a look like Netflix, Tesla. I mean, Tesla's relatively high, but considering what it was, it's like 10x lower. Netflix. Let's look at Meta, for example. So Meta, that price to earnings ratio is extremely low as well relative to what it was. It's only 11. And considering tech stocks of this size, the price to earnings ratio rarely gets down to 11. So my whole point is, when people want to invest in a recession, they go to value stocks, they go to dividend paying stocks, also kind of safe ones. They also go to treasuries, but that's bonds. We can't really compare with that. But there is now a transition of people going to these riskier tech stocks, which include things like Bitcoin. So if there is a bit more of a risk appetite, and I think, AJ, if you can just quickly bring it up, let's have a look at Bitcoin's current price now, compared to where it was. Zoom out a little bit. Let's go on to, so, all-time high. We're currently extremely far below, where the all-time high was. And I think you said, was it a drop of like 70%?
75%, I think, from where we are now, 70%. And the bottom was around 75%, yes.
Yeah. Can you bring up, let's go to Netflix. Can you bring up Netflix?
Yes.
That's might have to make a new tab.
Yes, let me just get that up on here.
Yeah, that would be good. So the whole point is, I want to kind of highlight where it is that people usually go, but what the sentiment is now. So Bitcoin obviously is down by 70, let's say 74 from that all-time high recently. So if we just can we do a calculation of the percentage on Netflix?
Yeah, from the all-time high, that was 77 approximately, 77%.
See, so it's a fairly similar level, and I think that if the appetite picks up for these tech giants instead of, because that is now where a lot of the value is, usually these guys, you get them because they have great potential. Now, if their price to earnings is very similar to a value stock, which is arguably not going to grow that much and is extremely stable, there's not really that much benefit. So that's kind of the whole point here, and how that will kind of affect the crypto community. Should we continue with a little bit more TA on the likes of Bitcoin, AJ?
Yeah, cool. So I just want to first we are around, between 74, to be precise, it's 74.4% down that we are from that bottom, from $17,600 approximately. Now, for me, that's still not the bottom, because previously, back in 2018, it was an approximate 83.8% pullback, and then back in 2015 we pulled back all the way down, and that was around 86.8%. So for me, we are still not at that bottom vicinity yet. I still think there is a little bit more downside for Bitcoin, and that sort of correlates with the target I have of around $15,000. That would bring us to closer to that 80% pullback. Now, is there a chance that we could go lower? Yes, there is. I know there's some people out there talking about that $12,000 target. I think For me, $12,000 is a little bit too far, but I can see why they are talking about this $12,000 target. And that is because if we're looking at this weekly chart for Bitcoin here, so the support that we are currently at right now is the 2017 all-time high. We are seeing a slight bounce off that level as of right now. But if we were to break below this level here, then there isn't any support on this weekly chart. And apart from, maybe the $13,800 level, there's very slight previous resistance there, which might act as support. But other than that, there isn't much support at all. So the next level I would be looking at is sort of that $12,000 level if we were to break below my $15,500 target, which, if you've been watching the previous streams, is sort of my low for Bitcoin because of this CVDD that I've been showing you previously. It's predicted the bottom every single bear market for Bitcoin. So that's why I think that $15,500 is sort of the bottom for me. But yeah, if we do break below this $20,000 target, there are a lot of people saying that $12,000 is a very, very realistic target because there's so much previous resistance at this level here, and that's going to act as support. So that's the next level that some people are looking at if we do break that $20,000 level. For me, I don't think it will go that low. Yes, there's a possibility, but I still stick to my target of $15,500 as a rough target for the bottom for Bitcoin. If we're taking a closer look into Bitcoin, looking at the 4 hour, you can see that we have this support level at $18,000 here. We have this support level at $20,000, which we actually bounced off this level early on this morning. And we are seeing a slight pump in the price of Bitcoin this morning. And we do have a resistance level at $21,355 approximately. You can see previous resistance here at this level, and we've been rejected from that level. So these are the levels that I'm keeping a very close eye on as of right now. We also have sort of a triangle pattern forming. If I just sort of change the colors for you to make it a little bit more easier to see. So these red lines here, you can see we're forming some sort of triangle pattern here. We have got resistance at the top, at the resistance, and we have got lots of support at the support. And, as from early on this morning, we have found support at that level, and we are seeing a nice pump in the price. My expectation is that we are going to come and test this top resistance level up here. And from there, where do I think the price is going to go? As of right now, I'm a little bit unsure. I want to see what happens because the indicators are saying that we can go a little bit higher. Now, there is room on the indicators for the price to break up out of this resistance level here, find support, and then come up and test this $21,300 approximate level for the resistance. And then if we break above there, that'll be nice. We can use that as support, continue up, and then test this resistance level up here, this orange box, which has been previous resistance before. We've seen two major rejections from that level when we did break below this level here. So that's the next level I'll be looking at. But yeah, there's a possibility we can break above this level. If we do see a rejection at this resistance here, then the likelihood of it is we are going to come down, test the support. If we break that support, then I'll be looking at the $20,000 level as support. And if we do break that support there, and we still have room on sort of the indicators to see more downside, then I think, that's going to be a pretty good shorting opportunity for us, which would potentially take us all the way down to that $18,000 target. But as of right now, I'm a little bit unsure on where sort of the price is going to go in the shorter term. So I'm just going to wait and see if we can break either this resistance level here, or we get a rejection and then we break that support level. So that's what I'm looking at for the shorter time frame on Bitcoin. Looking at the Ethereum price, Ethereum is holding this shorter term support very, very well at the moment. On the daily, you can see that we have, when we did break above this level, when we did break above this level here, you can see we found nice support along this level. And as of right now, we are holding that support perfectly. If we can continue to hold this support, if Bitcoin decides to behave and see more price action towards the upside, then I think that we could see a reversal for Ethereum back up to the $1,400 target. But this is just in the short term. I do still think that we are in for some more downside for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest of the market. If we take a look at the NASDAQ, we are seeing a nice bounce off of the support that I was talking about. I've been talking about for the past few streams. I think that this is going to take us up to this resistance level here. This just being a shorter term sort of reversal. But I do initially think we are going to see a rejection here, and we are going to see more downside for the traditional market and the whole crypto market. I do have that target at $15,500. I'm still sticking by that target until I'm confirmed that 20,000 was the bottom. If we can break this, looking back at Bitcoin, if we can break this lower high, lower low trend that we are forming, if I just show you that quick, we have this lower high trend forming, and we have these lower lows forming here. That's signaling, that we are very, very bearish. But if we can break that trend, then that will be bullish. I'd be looking for another lower high, because as of right now, for me to flip bullish, 47,000, we have to break that level for me to flip bullish. But if we can make another lower high, say at 30,000, we see another pullback, then that gives me another level to flip bullish at. So 30,000 could be a level that I flip bullish at if we create that lower high, that third lower high that I am waiting for. So a correction in a shorter term, I think is pretty likely. But I do think, in sort of the medium term, we are going to see more price action towards the downside.
Yeah, and just to kind of tie that in here, we're seeing a question here from Devon Smith. So what would confirm that to you that a macro bottom is in? Now, for those of you who don't know, basically macro is like inflation, is growth of the economy. Also, then I believe it's GDP, income, and then employment levels. And I think there might be maybe one other in there. But I think because, with inflation, that includes the price of pretty much everything. So what would make me believe is unemployment staying relatively similar. Now, every Friday, first Friday of the month, we get the employment numbers from the US. And I'm only talking about the US, guys. That's because that's where most of the money is. It's the biggest market. So that's what drives the rest of the global markets. But I'm going to say, inflation noticeably coming down, or at least not going higher. So ideally, for a bottom to be in on a macro level, inflation needs to be lower. So maybe returning back to that eight handle. And then also, I guess, ideally good projections of, the economy not shrinking. That would be very good in the US. And then also unemployment staying fairly similar and not getting worse. So that would be what we would want. But, in order to have inflation come down, you need to squeeze businesses. You need to reduce spending, which reduces GDP, and also squeezing the businesses, that reduces unemployment. So, it's quite hard to have all of these at the same time. But I would say, and for now, the Fed's only job is to reduce inflation. That's the only thing that they care about. They don't really care about unemployment. Well, they do, but the number one goal for them is inflation. So they don't really care about GDP. It just has to be inflation. So I'm going to say for a macro bottom, it's going to be that. It's just going to be inflation coming down, and ideally unemployment not going too crazy.
Yeah.
To answer your question there.
Definitely.
And if there are any others, make sure you drop a comment down below.
Yeah. And if I'll show my screen quick. I'll go over some. So CHZ, what we were looking at, someone asked me to look at that. So I've been keeping an eye on it. We are testing that resistance again as of right now. Just about to test it. If we do see a little bit more price action to the upside, we can be testing that again. But last night, we were testing that level. So yeah, if we do break to the upside here, I would hold out to see if we can get a bounce off of this previous resistance level and use that as support. I would like to see a spike in volume as well, because there isn't much volume as of right now. So if we did get a break to the upside with very little volume, then for me it would not be confirmed. We do also have Ultra that is coming up to test the resistance as well. Again, there's not much volume there for me to. If we do get the breakout to the upside and there's lots of volume, yes, that's a confirmed breakout to the upside. But for me right now, I'm just not seeing the right amount of volume. So if it did break to the upside, then I would wait to see if we could get a retest, and then if we see the volume, if we get that bounce off the previous resistance, which will then act as support, then yes, I would potentially go long there.
AJ, is it the right time to jump into altcoins?
Personally, right. So shorter term, I think I've got to say, in the shorter term, yes, because we are seeing the altcoins recover a lot better than we are seeing Bitcoin. Ethereum as of right now has recovered almost 30%, so 27%. We did at one point recover around 35%. So we are having that bear market recovery, and these bear market recoveries, they seem to be very percentage-wise, they seem to be very, very big. So as of right now, I think we sort of missed that train, but without a doubt, yeah, in the shorter term, I think the sort of altcoins may be a good thing to get into. But for me, I'm still staying away from altcoins. Just waiting, my portfolio is still 75% Bitcoin since when I moved it all around, and for me, I'm staying away from altcoins, waiting for Bitcoin to just find that bottom. Once I'm happy that Bitcoin has found that bottom, then I will start moving quite heavily into altcoins.
For the altcoins, would you give different advice to a long-term holder versus a short-term trader? Like a day trader versus a long-term investor. Would you have the same advice, i.e., yes, it's a good time, or would you vary that?
Different advice for long-term holders. I would wait out a little bit longer until Bitcoin's found that bottom. Then I'll get into it. But for short-term, I think that there is very, very good opportunities for trades. Looking at Ultra and CHZ, there is very good trading opportunities here. We've got these patterns here. If we do break to the upside and we get that volume confirmation, then it's very good times to be getting in. But for me, it would only be holding these altcoins for very short periods of time, because when I anticipate the price to come down again, then these altcoins are initially going to get hit a lot harder. So that's why I'm holding off.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect answer. I would have said exactly the same. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, guys, with some of the very, very small projects, let's take this Altura. I'll have a quick look on CoinMarketCap as to where it is. What was the ticket for it?
ALU.
Yeah. Okay.
ALU,
so
yes.
market cap, where is it? 730. So 730th in the ranking on CoinMarketCap. Market cap of $10 million. So really not very much at all. So something like this is more likely going to be driven by maybe one sponsorship or some crazy good news. That type of thing can really affect a small coin with only a $10 million market cap. But if we're looking at maybe some of the bigger coins, let's take, I don't know, let's go Cardano, for example. That's got a market cap of $16 billion. So, from 10 mil to 16 billion, it's obviously going to be much less likely to be affected by, one particular upgrade or something like this, even though, it did pump on the hard fork news. That's just a lot of investors getting in. That's going to be more resilient to just small movements or one whale getting in. So you're going to notice that, but that will be, so the larger altcoins will be more subject to those general kind of Bitcoin trends. So once Bitcoin makes a big move, then the altcoins will follow, and quite quickly, actually, noticing from previous bull runs or bear markets, I'm kind of seeing that it used to be Bitcoin would always move, and then it would be a couple weeks then we'd see Ethereum, then we see XRP, and then we kind of move on to altcoin season where the rest of them all rally after Bitcoin, and then the dominance falls massively. But now it's not really like that anymore, is it, AJ? Like we're seeing the altcoins chase Bitcoin really quickly after there's a big move in any
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah, we've seen these quite aggressive moves from these altcoins, and that's why we've got our portfolio video out there, and we want to be getting into these higher risk altcoins because medium risk, high risk altcoins, because that's where you make the majority of your gains, and if you don't play your cards right, then you make the majority of your losses. But if you play your cards right, then you make the majority of your gains in the altcoins, and that's what we want to start getting onto. But for me right now, I'm just taking a step back because I'm just not certain that Bitcoin has found that bottom yet.
Can you bring up the dominance, AJ?
Bitcoin
Just have
dominance,
a look as
yes.
to kind of where that is. So, Devon, just to give you like a verbal answer in terms of where do we expect to see the Bitcoin dominance bottom? I mean, if we talk about bottom in terms of percentages, I think that's going to happen very far in the future once we have the altcoins that are actually like integrated with big companies. You see someone like, let's say, Microsoft using the Ethereum blockchain to store all of its data, or I don't know, something like this, or like all of Lamborghini's cars are tracked using VeChain so that they know exactly where they are, and quality checks, etc. That's going to be where I see eventually the end goal of crypto, like big companies that have an impact on people's lives using the technology in the background. That's kind of where I see it. And there, I think Bitcoin's dominance will fall massively. But have you got anything to say in terms of, have we seen the not the all-time high, but, this high of the past couple of months, this little region that we've got on the screen here? Have we seen the highest that's going to get to?
Sorry, say that again.
Have we seen the highest of where this is going to get to, the Bitcoin dominance?
I think,
kind of sitting at that 47.
We've established this range here, and I think that yes, there's a possibility we can come and test these levels we were up here again. If we do see Bitcoin continue to come down to my target to around $15,000, I think there's a pretty high chance we will come back up and test this level. But for right now, there is, we've had this rejection here, this initial rejection here. There's a pretty high chance that we'll come down and test this level here, which is around the 40% level. And then from that level there, I think we're going to bounce off that level. We are in this range as of right now. And I don't think that the Bitcoin dominance is going to make a major move as of yet. I think we need to wait for Bitcoin to have that bottom, then that confirmation sort of for the bull market to begin again. And then I think when we do get that confirmation for the next bull market, we will break below this very major support level here. And then that's when I think, all of the altcoins are going to absolutely explode. And that's when we want to be, putting on most of our portfolio into sort of those higher risk, medium risk, higher risk tokens. But for now, I think as we see the price get a slight reversal, because if we just take a quick look at the Bitcoin indicators, we are incredibly oversold on the RSI, on the stochastic RSI, on the stochastic, and on the CCI, just incredibly oversold. So I think a reversal in the shorter term is something very possible, and that for me will bring the dominance back down to the support level here. Then if we do see more downside for Bitcoin, which I do anticipate, I think, we're going to see the dominance start to increase again. But ultimately, when that Bitcoin bull market starts again, I think that's when we're going to break this 39-40% level, and then we start seeing those big moves for the altcoins.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be involved in some of those. That's where everyone makes their money in crypto markets, isn't it? Where you get like a small altcoin and it does like 10 or 100x. And you're like, it's a massive roller coaster. You don't want to sell, but also it could just go like in an instant.
Greed is a big part of trading. You can't get too greedy, and sort of that's what we'll teach you as we go on. You need to learn to take profits, because being greedy can lose you a lot of money.
Yeah. I know we've both felt that, unfortunately. You go from hero to zero real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, so make sure you stay tuned. We're going to make sure that we keep bringing more content around trading as well, coming up with our specific plans as to how we identify trades. So make sure you stick around, subscribe to the channel, and we will be dropping that very, very soon. So I'm actually really excited about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I know that we kind of worked pretty hard on putting it together, so that's going to be amazing. But anyway, overall, guys, just to recap, you know, working on where people invest in a bear market, I think this time around, we're going to see a little bit more of that tech side coming in because of the low price to earnings ratios, and I think that's going to benefit the crypto market. Plus, also this time, you know, we have so much support from massive institutional investors and also just individual rich guys, you know, like Michael Saylor and, you know, the likes of maybe even Elon Musk once he starts, you know, once Tesla starts making money on his Bitcoin position. But, you know, it's a very different world now. And I don't see us sitting below 20K for too long. I've always said it. I'm going to say end of the year, we're seeing a bit of a rally by around November, December. That's personally my view. Are you looking at the bullish divergence here?
Yeah, I've just seen that on the Bitcoin chart. Yeah, that's hidden bullish divergence. So yeah, let's hope that plays out, which I'm pretty sure it will play out. I do think the price is going to come down a little bit more, but ultimately for this sort of to be invalid, it would have to break below $5,500 approximately, or $3,200. So we're pretty far away from that. So yes, I think even if we do go lower, this hidden bullish divergence is still going to be in play. So yeah, that's just, you know, more signal to us that a bottom is very, very close.
Yeah, very close. Anyway, guys, thank you for everything. We will be back tomorrow giving you some even more quality content.
Yeah.
As always. All right, guys, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and thank you very much.
Thank you for watching.
Take care.